Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure diorama review. Today, we're going to be looking at the 12 World Iron and Steel Factory 1/12 scale diorama. This diorama is supposed to include functioning LED lights and a functioning winch. This thing is hopefully massive and should be great for a bunch of different action figure scenarios. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging here. As you can see at the front, 1/12 scale. 12 Worlds, made in China. On the other side, and this box is absolutely massive. It says Iron and Steel Factory 1/12 scale. Opposite side, same as the front. And then pretty much blank on this side. So let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open. So this is what's inside the box. A huge brick of styrofoam, going to contain this diorama. This thing's making quite a mess. I'll be cleaning this up for weeks. Let's go ahead and take all the contents out. Alright, now that we got this thing out of the package, here it is with all its accessories laid out. It looks like it's going to require some assembly. I will say this thing did not come with any instructions, so I'm going to have to muddle through. In front of you I see a couple different floor pieces, a ladder, a couple different scaffolding type things with railing, and then it has the hook, the winch, giant chain. Looks like it has a very nice detail, a lot of weathering. It's actually made of metal. This thing also has a functioning LED light at the bottom, and it's extremely bright. That red sort of molten metal will go on top of it. Should look fantastic. It also comes with 8 extremely strong magnets, but you know what? I have no idea what they're actually for. So I'm going to try my best to muddle through this video. Let's see what we got. So the first thing I want to point out, we've got a broken piece here. This is a very expensive set. It is unacceptable to have a broken piece. You can definitely see where the plastic has just straight up broke. Once I took this entire thing out of the styrofoam, this piece was left in. I mean, I can push it back into where it goes. I understand how it works. Hopefully it'll still function just fine. If that's the case, cool, no problems. But if not, BBTS will definitely be replacing this. Like I said, hopefully it won't be a very big deal, but I definitely wanted to point that out. Extremely annoying considering the price. Now let's try to assemble this thing. All I really have to go on is this picture from BigBadToyStore.com of this thing assembled. There's also a YouTube video, but it's only about a minute and a half, and it's literally just a camera panning around this thing. So hopefully it'll be easy to figure out. Try to muddle through. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the flooring there. So I wanted to start off by looking at the bottom of this thing. Here's where the light is. It's going to shine upward. This has a USB cable that comes out through the back. You'll be able to attach it to any sort of power source. So I went ahead and took this charging brick that I had, plugged it in, and here it is turned on. It is extremely bright. You really got to cut this thing with the flooring piece. So now let's attach the floor. You can take this molten lead piece here and actually sort of just slides in. That'll cover up the light, and then you'll be able to have your mesh floor sitting above it. So I took 4 of the 8 magnets and attached them at the 4 corners here. That way when I attach the mesh floor, it'll attach securely. Now keep in mind, I'm just guessing at how to assemble this thing. I might find out the magnets are needed for something else later, but it works and makes sense for now. Then you go ahead, take your mesh flooring, attach it, sits very securely. You can almost lift this whole diorama. The magnets are that strong. At this point, the diorama is going to look like this, and if you want to turn on the light now, it's a lot dimmer, more mild, and actually has the look of molten metal or lead. Next we'll attach these 2 pieces. It's sort of a walkway with a rail on it. They are identical, except they're mirrored. So I went ahead and attached the other 4 magnets to the bottom of these. They fit in pretty nicely here, and it's going to make it a little more secure when on the bottom there. Once again, not certain if that's what they're intended for, but it worked out pretty well. And this is how the diorama will look at this point. Now let's attach the ladder. Nothing too special about this. At the top part, it does have two sort of prongs. They're going to help it connect. Here's a ladder attached to the side. It should go for the first floor to the second floor, and you could put it on either side, no problem. Now let's look at the chain with the attached winch. So starting with the top part here, I need to remind you, it has that broken piece. It comes right out. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I've already attached this to the top steel bar and sit on there very securely. One side, it's got this little piece that'll open. It is hinged. Coming out of it is the controller for this winch. You can see it's got this little controller box here. Totally reminds me of the controller from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Going further down, got two chains hanging off this thing. As we get to the center here, it's got this sort of wheel. Now this thing came messed up. I had to take this nut off and the screw out and then re-thread this thing. And now it sort of does function. I guess that's what I mean by a functioning winch. You can see it does sort of rotate in there. Pretty cool, but not exactly what I expected when they said a functioning winch. Thought it'd be a little better than that. Then going further down, two more chains, and it gets to the hook at the end. And here it is with the winch attached. This diorama is now complete. I will say, it's very sturdy, looks very good, but it's definitely not worth the price. The winch itself will attach to the top steel bar and the ceiling of this diorama. Even with my broken piece, it's very stable and secured. I'm really not worried about a replacement at this point. I did email Big Bad Toy Store and we'll see what they say, but I can definitely live with it as is. And then on the second story here, you've got the controller for someone to use. And then you've got this middle part. That's actually how the winch functions, quote unquote. Goes up and down, it's threaded. Now, you have to sort of hold it to do that, so I'm a little disappointed there. But it is still kind of cool. And then near the bottom, you've got this hook. You could have them raising up something very heavy, possibly metal, they're going to melt down. You could have an action figure put his foot in this and get raised up. A lot of different uses. Pretty cool. And now let's check out the measurements of this thing. As far as how deep it is, it's sitting about 13 inches deep. As far as how wide it is, it's sitting at about 13.5 inches wide. And as far as how tall it is, about 26.5 inches tall. Now let's take a look at the action features. I did touch on them earlier. So we got the light at bottom here. I have a USB power brick here. Turn it on. Looks pretty cool. Definitely has a sort of molten lead look to it. And here's how it looks with the lights off. The effect is even better. And the other action feature is going to be the functioning winch. This thing is threaded here. If you sort of pull it, it will go upward. And it brings the hook up, but you kind of have to just hold it with your hand. Sure, you could probably loop this chain up there, but it doesn't exactly function the way I thought it would. And now, let's get some figures in this thing and reenact some scenes. This thing will work great for the end scene of Terminator 2 Judgment Day in the steel mill. Here's Sarah Connor putting some shots into the T-1000. And as she's just about to shoot him down to the lead, she runs out of shotgun shells. And then the T-800 comes up here with the one last grenade in his grenade launcher to save the day. Then here he is flailing around right before he falls into the molten lead. After defeating the T-1000, they throw the chip and the old T-800 arm into the molten lead, but it's not enough. The T-800 has to get destroyed as well, but it cannot self-terminate. And here they are, lowering the T-800 into the molten lead, and he says, "I know now why you cry." And as he's melting, he simply puts his thumbs up toward John Connor. Here's a reenactment of the end of Alien 3. This is where Ripley decides to throw herself into the molten lead, killing both Ripley and the Queen chestburster inside of her. Down below, you can see some Weyland-Yutani commandos, some scientists, and Michael Weyland, or Bishop 2, grabbing onto the fence, screaming, "Think of all we can accomplish!" And as she jumps into the lead, depending on which version of the movie you're watching, the assembly cut or the theatrical cut, you see the Queen chestburster come out right as she falls in. This will also work good for Batman's first encounter with the Red Hood. Red Hood fell off the balcony and fell into the vat of chemicals and Ace chemicals, thus turning him into the Joker. This would be especially good if I could find something green to replace that red molten lead piece at the bottom. This could also be used as the Psionic Steel Mill from Arkham Origins. You can see Batman on the top, getting ready to take out Black Mask and his thugs. Like I said before, Batman on top, getting ready to take out Black Mask and his henchmen. And finally, here it is being used as a Psionic Steel Mill from Arkham City. This would be a couple years later when Joker had taken over. You can see Batman at the bottom, taking on some Joker thugs and Mr. Hammer. And then, of course, looking down from above, Joker and Harley Quinn. Now let's check this thing out next to some other dioramas. Here it is next to another 12-world diorama. This is a smaller one. This is the destroyed building diorama. And here it is next to the 12-world ruins of a building, both A and B put together. And here, next to the Neca street scene diorama, this is the original, darker Ninja Turtles San Diego Comic-Con release. And here it is next to the lighter brown, wider release of the Neca street scene diorama. And here it is next to the Diamond Select Toys Collect and Connect Build a Diorama Ghostbusters Rooftop. Then, next to the Diamond Select Toys Collect and Connect Build a Diorama Ghostbusters Firehouse Front. And here it is next to the Extreme Sets Building 1.0 diorama. Then, next to the Extreme Sets Building 6.0 diorama. And here, next to the Extreme Sets Pop-Up Cabin diorama. And now let's check this thing out next to some action figures from different various companies to see how it fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can use this thing with. It should work good for pretty much any 6 and 7-inch figure lines. Here it is next to some DST, Diamond Select Toys, and some McFarlane toys. And here it is with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures, and some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And here, with some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures, and some Mattel DC Universe Classics figures. Then, here it is with some Mafex and some Hasbro Marvel Legends figures. And finally, here it is with some SH Figure Arts and some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this diorama is fantastic. My initial reaction when opening this thing was a little bit of disappointment, mostly because of the broken piece. But as I got this thing fully assembled, it has really come together, and I found it useful for so many different scenarios. This thing looks like it came right out of the end of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and there are so many more things you can do with this thing. Some negative feedback: yes, I have that broken piece. The quote-unquote functioning winch doesn't really function very well, if you ask me. And then the magnets and some of the pieces don't seem to sit flush quite like I'd like, and the lack of instructions. But overall, this thing is a great piece. Very happy to have it in my collection. Is it worth the price? I would say big fat no, but it's still very good. If I go back in time, I definitely would still buy this thing. As far as Batman in an iron and steel factory, I'm going to get a ton of uses out of him, beating some criminals up in this, or possibly dropping a future Joker down the vat. If I were to rate this thing, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I am enjoying the hell out of this thing, and I think I'm going to enjoy it more and more with time to come. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure and diorama reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.